Hi guys, so I'm back with a new video and let's talk about 2021. So maybe this is coming a little later than I wanted to, and obviously I don't know if you can tell, but I'm running out of light, so I'm gonna try and keep this one short. Most of the films that I'm gonna talk, I did a review on, so I don't really need to talk a lot about them. Just letting you know my top 10. And yeah, next one will be my most anticipated for 2022. And yeah, I guess let's get into it. So, surprisingly, most of the films in this list are horror. I mean, it's not really surprising because it's my favorite genre, but usually I have a mix of a lot of things. But I guess this year I just watched a lot more horror, and there has been like so many good horror movies coming out, and yeah, just letting you know that. Also, I have some controversial opinions. I'm pretty sure most of the movies in my list aren't in most people's list, but these are the ones that I enjoyed the most and that most of all made me feel something, because what I look for in a film is to get a reaction out of me, and all of these films, if I'm not mistaken, I had really strong emotions towards them, or I just had a good time, which is also like a good emotion, like a strong emotion. But it's movies that I remember, like the plot, and that I remember what I felt while watching them. So yeah, just telling you that, and that you might not agree with my favorite ones, but yeah, these are the ones that I enjoyed the most. Starting out with like a super controversial, unpopular opinion, but my 10th one, like my number 10, is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, directed by Michael Chavez. Yes, this is super unpopular, but Conjuring 3 is my favorite one out of the whole franchise. And I just had a really good time watching this one at the cinema, and I have a review on it. As I said, I have a review on most of these films, so I'm not gonna tell you a lot more, but I just think this one is different from the previous ones. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed where it went. I like that this was based on like the first trial that they said they tried to defend themselves with possession. So yeah, I just like that. I like the look of the film, and most of all, I think what it does, like the thing that makes me like this one more than the previous ones, is that it's not just a haunted house, it's something else. And yeah, I appreciated that. My number 9, it's one that I think most people liked, but it certainly made people feel really strong about it, and I'm talking about Titan. I enjoyed it. I I had like a little issue with it, which is the pacing, because I loved the first part of the film. It's super intense and gory and all of that, but then the movie like loses a little bit of momentum and just becomes something else. And I did like that, like arc and where it went. Still had amazing disturbing visuals, but I do think it lost me a little bit. Still, it's a super unique story with so many different meanings. There's so much behind all of what is happening and so many messages. So yeah, it's definitely one that deserves the hype. And yeah, I really wanted this to be nominated for the international a film at the Oscars, but I don't know. Number 8 is In the Earth, directed by Ben Wheatley, and this is another one of those that it's a lot. You watch this, and this has like so many strobing lights, and the sound mixed with the lights and all of that. It just makes you really feel something. And I watched it at a film festival in theater, and it was so intense, and I left the theater with a headache. Granted, I spent like the entire day there, and I was kind of tired from watching films, but I also think it was because of the film, because it just makes you feel a lot of things, and it's one of those that it's anxiety inducing, but it also has like a great story with a few twists, and it talks about the environment, which I feel like a lot of films that came out this year tackled that subject, but this one was definitely my favorite out of that category. In my 7th place is a movie that I was not expecting liking it as much as I did, and it's not horror, it's actually a comedy, and it's Don't Look Up. I have a review on it, and I said in my video that I went into it not expecting a lot, because I don't really like Adam McKay's other films, at least not the ones that I've seen, and I just left the cinema like after watching this one so like happy, and I mean I was surprised, but I enjoyed it, and I think it's a really funny film. It's not for everyone, and I've seen a lot of people talk trash about the film, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what it talked about. It also kind of talks about the environment, but in a different way. And yeah, it has a stellar cast, and yeah, I went into it more in my review, so if you want to know more about the film, check out my video. But definitely like the biggest surprise, because I was not even expecting liking the film. Back to horror, my 6th favorite film of the year is The Feast. Actually, this is another one that talks about the environment, but it's different. This is a Welsh film directed by Lee Haven-Jones, and this one is so pretty, like the set design and all of that. It's gorgeous, but it's also really creepy and bloody. Yeah, there's a lot to this film, and I don't think it's super straightforward, but I like that about the film. It takes its time to like makes you wonder throughout the whole film, but I think in the end you get the message, and yeah, it's just pretty and has a few twists and some stuff that I was not expecting, kind of disturbing at the same time, but it's gorgeous, and I really enjoyed it. It definitely was another surprise, because I wasn't even planning on watching this, and I went on a whim at the film festival, and I just thought, let me just try this one, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Now for my top 5. In the 5th place is The Jeep House. This is definitely the film that made me feel the most while watching it in the cinema, like in a theater, because the whole thing being underwater was just really anxiety inducing for me, and I had a mask. I said all of these in my review, so again, check that one out if you want like a deeper review. But I had a mask, and the whole thing is underwater, so I was just like, yeah, I was holding my breath for a long time, and it's not a super different film, like it doesn't really have a different story. It's kind of cliche and predictable, but the aspect that it's a haunted house underwater just is enough for me. And again, the set design, the whole thing being underwater, it's amazing how they pulled it off. and it has a great ending. I love the ending, so yeah, definitely one of my favorites, and one of those that I will not forget how I felt in the cinema. Number 4, like the best sequel ever, like it's almost as good as the original, A Quiet Place Part 2. This one, we were supposed to watch this in 2020, but it was delayed, and yeah, it's just another one that I had so much fun in a theater, and I just left thinking about the film. It's so well done. I love the kids in this one, and yeah, John Krasinski did an amazing job. And if you like the first one, you definitely will like this one. I'm pretty sure everyone watched this one, but yeah, in case you didn't, just letting you know, just give it a chance, because it's almost as good as the first one. Some people say it's better than the first one. I still like the first one a little bit more than this one, but yeah, it's still as good. Now, my top 3 was kind of easy, because I just love all of these films. My third one is A Classic Horror Story. Another big surprise, because I wasn't expecting to like this one as much as I did, because I mean, I was excited about it once I watched the trailer, but this really blew me away, because one, the cinematography is so my thing. I love all the reds and the blues and all of that. Yeah, it's so beautiful. But the story is crazy. You will never guess where this movie goes. It starts in one way and then goes into a different direction and then changes again. It's definitely one of my favorites. I love almost everything about it, and yeah, there's not a lot that I liked more than this one, which I'll get into. This is on Netflix, and I definitely recommend it because it's so good. Now, my number 2. There's only 2 films that I went and watched twice at the cinema this year. They're definitely my top 2. One of them, it's my number 2, as I said, and it's Spider-Man No Way Home. That was one of my last reviews, and I watched it on my birthday, and yeah, it was one of my most anticipated films, and I'm so glad I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. At this point, you already know all the spoilers and everything, but I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just gonna say that I loved it. It exceeded my expectations. It was amazing. Nothing will ever beat watching that for the first time in a packed theater with so many fans cheering every 5 minutes. I really liked watching Endgame, but Spider-Man No Way Home in a theater in opening night was amazing, and I'm so glad I experienced that on my birthday. And yeah, now for my number 1, I went into this one completely blind. I tried to stay away from everything. This was my second most anticipated of the year and ended up being my favorite, which makes me really, really happy. And I'm talking about Last Night in Soho. I love that film. Again, I went in and watched it twice in a theater. And yeah, I just love everything about it. I love the colors and the music and the acting and the story. Like, the story might not be super different, but it was enough for me, and I just loved it. I don't think there's much I can tell you. Again, check out my full review, because I love this film. It went straight into my top of all time, and this video is already super long, so just tell me your favorites in the comments, your favorite movies of the year. And yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!